Hello, you wonderful humans. Thank you for being here. It's Wednesday, 7 o'clock. It's time for a Wednesday Weekly. I'm Drew Detzner. I'm the owner and one of the clinicians here at 3D Wellness. Thank you for being here. We got our Instagram group here. We got our YouTube group here. And we have butts and seats here. We're doing it all. Okay. We're going to get started in just a minute here. As always, at the Wednesday Weeklies, it's Ask Me Anything. So whatever question is coming to mind for it, you can chat it into the comments. We have the incomparable Lori LeClaire here. She's reading those comments and she'll read off your question to me so that whether you're at home or in person, you actually feel like you're part of this. Here's the question I want to pose to everybody to get things started. You ready for this, Susie? Yeah? Name a nutrient that is non-optional. So what is a must-have nutrient? What is a nutrient that we absolutely have to have? Would it be vitamin C? Vitamin C is necessary for your immune system. Your heart needs it. Your adrenal glands and your kidneys need it. Would it be magnesium? I mean, it seems like every time I go on social media these days, there is somebody saying magnesium from this source, from that source, from the other source. So is that like the must-have? Man, we hear about calcium a whole lot. When you hear about calcium, you usually hear about vitamin D. But lately, vitamin D has been getting a little bit of negative press. There have been some people saying, you know, it's not actually a vitamin, it is technically a hormone. You should be careful ingesting hormones. You might not know all the things you're influencing by taking that. So here's the big takeaway that I want everybody to have from this. Name a nutrient that is non-optional. None of them are. We need them all. Okay? We need them all. I hope that's on the screen. If it isn't, we need them all. You're hearing me say it. We need them all. But here's the big deal. We need to test. You have got to make sure that you are doing some form of analysis to determine the levels of all these critical nutrients. The list of nutrients is a huge list of nutrients. So we want to make sure that we're testing before we start to supplement with things. It is a super common thing. When I do a hair analysis with a new client who says, you'll be proud of me, I've been taking magnesium for years because I know how important it is. And we look at their level of magnesium on their hair analysis, and what is it? Skyrocketed. You're right. It's too high. Their body's getting more than it knows what to do with. Now that thing that's supposed to help you relax is a stressor. That's not what they wanted, right? So we want to test. We want to make sure that whatever we're talking about, I realize there's another really important nutrient people talk about, omega-3s. How about probiotics? How many advertisements for probiotics do you see nowadays? All of these. We want to make sure that we're doing some form of analysis, some kind of test before we start taking them to make sure that we actually need them, that we're taking the right amount of them, that we're getting them from the right sources. All those things are really critical. So that was a big lead-in. You guys ready for the big reveal? Here at 3D Wellness, we test for mineral levels. We test for probiotic need using a biome test or a stool analysis, and we test for omega-3 needs using a blood sample. We test for these things before we give them to people. It would be much, much easier for me to just say, oh, you know what? I heard magnesium's good and omega-3s and probiotics are good. Here, I got a bunch of them. Here's a big program. Take a whole handful of pills all the time. Thanks. Thanks for your money, by the way. I'll sleep better at night if we make sure the person needs them before we start to supplement with them. So please consider making sure you're testing these things before you're spending your money on them. Let's get this stuff off of here. All right, Two Boots. Do we guess?
What?
Do we guess?
Do we guess what?
Do we guess about what nutrients we should take?
No, we don't.
No. What do we do? We
We ask.
test. Yeah, we
ask.
test.
Yeah, test. Definitely. All right, let's.
Any questions, Roland?
Hello, Erica. Hello.
Rescue Mama Erica. Hey again.
Randy.
That's E. Hey E.
Yep.
Zoe is here.
Randy's here. Yep.
Good, good.
All right. Oh, I don't have a mic on. Get that on.
Cool. Susie, do you have questions that are coming to mind?
Oh, we test. I just see a lot, especially about the probiotics.
Yeah.
About a lot of eating more.
The fermented?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fermented instead.
Yeah.
And just changing up which one to eat.
Yep. I like that idea. So on the topic of probiotics, those fermented foods are really powerful. Fermented foods are a really outstanding source. But then we got to keep in mind, and I think this is what you're saying, is that the probiotics that naturally occur in yogurt are not the same as what you get from kimchi or from sauerkraut or pickles or whatever, and the list goes on and on. So we want to rotate those because we want to make sure that we're getting this nice diversity of good bacteria all the time. There's a couple of probiotic products that I really like on the market. I still think that those fermented foods are the easiest and least expensive way to get those good probiotics. Some people will just refuse to eat them. And in my brain, I'm like, it's Clover Meadow yogurt. It's delicious. Like, you should want to eat it. But it doesn't work for them. Okay, let's talk about some good probiotics. Yeah, you can make yogurt out of coconut milk. Yeah, that's a different group of probiotics than what you're getting from cow's milk. Yeah, absolutely. All right, you're always good for a question or two.
I'll throw one at you. I liked last week when you did something, incorporating the 4th of July holiday, and then your topic was alcohol and preventative measures of repercussions of drinking too much and all that. So I thought I would be like, okay, what else? What other stuff is going on this season? We've got camping going on. So let's talk about campfires.
Talk about campfire.
Oh,
love it.
How toxic campfire smoking? What we can do to, be able to enjoy that and protect ourselves at the same time.
Yeah, I got a friend coming into town in 2 weeks, and one of the things we know we're going to do in my backyard is have a campfire.
Mm-hmm.
I love camping. I love the outdoors. I love sleeping outdoors, all of that stuff. I like not having a screen in my face as I'm streaming to 2 different social media platforms at the same time. There's something about watching a fire to me that is like hypnotic and calming. Oh. But for the longest time, when I would do that, I couldn't breathe. I'd wake up during the night gasping. The next morning, I'd wake up and I could. Why is there so much mucus in it? And it was awful because I felt like this thing that I really enjoyed, I was going to have to get away from. Okay? So you don't want to breathe smoke. Okay, so avoid breathing smoke. I don't care if it's from a cigarette or a campfire. You just want to avoid breathing it. Okay, that's numero uno. Now, if you can't do that, if you can't avoid breathing the smoke because you're going to have a campfire, you're going to sit close to it so you can stay warm, I'm going to recommend a couple of things. The first one is Allerplex, which I talk about all the time, but it does so much for us. Okay, Allerplex is a 5-in-1 supplement from Standard Process. Part of the reason it's so good is it addresses the needs of the lungs. It has a natural antihistamine in it. It gives us some vitamin A and it gives us some vitamin C. It also helps reduce inflammation. So you put all that stuff together, and wow, sounds like a really good thing for campfires. So when I go camping, what I do is I bring Allerplex with me. I don't usually take Allerplex, but if I go camping, I absolutely pack Allerplex. And I take 5 in the morning when I wake up. I take 5 before the bonfire, and I take 5 after the bonfire. I don't wake up choking on mucus during the night. I can breathe the next morning. I feel good the next morning. I want to have another campfire the next night. So this is something that I pack in my camping gear. I bring Allerplex with me. Last time I got to do this, last time I needed Allerplex, I was with one of my buddies and I was taking it and he said, "What's that for?" And I was like, "It's so I can enjoy the campfire more, so I'm not coughing as much." And he's like, "Oh, that happens to you too?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, can I have some?" Perfect. Here's a handful of it. And he had the same response. He was like, "Well, my sinuses didn't clog up like they always do. I think I slept better because I was breathing better." Cool. That's what Allerplex does for us. It's not just for allergies. It's also really good for campfires.
Great.
Yeah.
The product of parotid by Standard Process, isn't that something typically used as well?
That one, so let's talk about why we would use that.
Okay.
So, can you still see me if I'm right in here?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, when do we use parotid? And Susie, who's sitting here right now, she loves parotid. You know how to use parotid like a pro. You know all the reasons you use parotid. Okay, when to use parotid PMG? Okay. If the wood isn't freshly sourced, that would be one reason. If there's anything chemical on the wood, you know, that's a good point Susie just made. The wood or the paper that you use to start it. Because I know all the time you're like, "Oh, there's this old cardboard box. Let me grab that really quickly." Magazines to start it, whatever it is. What you want to do is if there's anything chemical, that includes ink, anything that dyed it or colored it, that would be chemical in nature. And you'd want to take parotid PMG because that helps your body clean out that chemical stuff. So if it's old wood, you'd want to use it. If there's anything chemical on it, or if you're starting the fire with something chemical, I'm thinking of those Duraflame logs, that kind of stuff. If you're a little bit unhinged and you're using gasoline to start the fire, that would be a chemical example. And what you'd want to do is you'd want to throw down 3 parotid before you get that party started. You can always take parotid with Allerplex. Those two work together very well. Those two get along very synergistically. You would want to take 3 before you get going so that your body's ready to deal with all that stuff. It is just easier to use fresher wood and start the fire with some matches or stick, rub it between your hands, whatever. That'd be better.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good thing to remind me to bring home a bottle of Allerplex from my buddies in town. Thank you.
All right, we've got Erica with a question.
Oh, great.
Here. She wants to know, what about cooking on a grill? I've heard a lot of people say food that is charred or turned black from the grill is toxic.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about it. About to break my own heart. Okay, grilling, which I love doing. All right, does char have 1 R or 2 R's? 2? I'm going to do it with 1 because that's what she did. There we go. We'll put it in quotes. There you go. If you're charring it, blackened, right? That's what that means. If you are heating something over a fire to the point that it is blackened, it is technically a carcinogen. That really bums me out because I really like grilling. And inevitably, there's grill marks on the food. There's 2 R's? I thought so. Sorry, Erica. I'm taking away your quotes. I thought there. I was like, that's a lady's name. That's not what happens when you blacken meat on a grill. Char. Okay. You're blackening the meat. It is technically a carcinogen. That bums me out because I really love grilling. A couple of ways around this, a couple of things to do. I went online and I bought a cast iron cookie sheet. I think it was like 24, 25 bucks, something like that. You could just use a cast iron pan and you can put it on the grill. It's not going to have the same influence because the heat and the smoke are hitting the pan or the cookie sheet way more than they're hitting the meat now. So the meat still gets cooked. You can still make your food, but you're not having that the char marks on the meat anymore because it's not the fire going directly into it. The heat from the fire is going into the cast iron, which is then going into the meat. Hope that makes sense. Or veggies if you're making asparagus or whatever you're doing. You can do that. If you don't want to do that, if you like your char marks, you don't want to buy the cookie sheet, you don't want to buy a cast iron pan, you can somewhat mitigate it with this stuff. Okay, it's not going to handle all of it, but it's going to help a whole bunch. So, or you can do a combination of Zypan, our best friend Spanish black radish, gotta have your Spanish black radish, and chlorophyll complex. All of these are by standard process. All of these, if you click the link in my Instagram bio, you can go straight to the store. We'll ship it right to your doorway. You can just order this stuff online. Zypan, big time digestive aid. But especially for the stomach and the potency of the stomach's acid. I'm going to say that again. I want everybody to hear me when I say this. The potency of the stomach acid, not the volume. Okay? When you take Zypan, it doesn't fill up your stomach with more acid. It makes the acid that's in there more effective at doing its job. Okay? Do some Zypan Spanish black radish because this cleans out junk. And it's just amazing for you in general. Everybody should be on Spanish black radish. If you don't agree with me, in the words of our beloved friend Brandon, you can fight me at dawn. Okay? Spanish black radish is totally amazing at cleaning things like the char marks, the 2R char marks. Okay? And then chlorophyll complex. This is one of the all-time great soothers of the digestive tract. I use it with a lot of people who have things like ulcers, people who have been diagnosed with Crohn's or IBS tend to respond very well to chlorophyll complex. So the idea here is we're going to boost the body's ability to process the meat that's charred. We're going to help clean it out, and we're going to soothe the digestive tract because it did just have something that is technically a carcinogen go through it. Doses will depend on how much food you're eating. Depending upon how much food you're eating, you would do before and after. You would want to do 3 to 6 Zypan before and after. You would want to do 1 to 2 Spanish black radish before and after. And you would want to do 2 to 4 chlorophyll complex before and after. The chlorophyll complex is really like how much charred meat did you have? Like how much potential irritation did you take into your system? I personally think it's easier to buy the cast iron stuff and use that. Some people love their char marks. I also have circumstances where I'm cooking for so many people, I'm grilling for so many people, that using the cookie sheet or the cast iron isn't an option because it would take too long to prepare all that food. I can only make 4 burgers at a time and I'm feeding 18 people. that's not going to hang. That's not going to work. And then I would definitely rely on these three.
How much would you have to grill to notice if it's agreeing with you?
How much would you have to grill?
To notice it not agreeing with you.
I don't understand the question. So ask it a different way for me. Because all I'm thinking about is my sassy answer. It's like, well, I'm so good at grilling, it never disagrees with me. But that's probably not answering the question at all.
Like how black?
Or how much? Because each person might be a little bit different. That's why there's a range. That's why I can't say, oh, it's always 3 Saipan, 1 Spanish black, 2 chlorophyll. Because there is a range to how people respond.
Sorry, I was multitasking.
I know the feeling.
How much grilled food would you have to eat to notice side effects?
Oh, so since it is technically a carcinogen, which means cancer causer, you wouldn't necessarily notice anything. We're just going on the research that's been done about this. You might never feel funny after eating a lot of charred food. You might never ever feel funny. Other people might notice it right away. I remember at some point in my life, my mom ordered a blackened chicken salad at some restaurant, and she offered me a bite of it. And as soon as that blackened chicken hit my tongue, I thought, they ruined this chicken.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I remember thinking.
Not for everybody.
But then there have been times when I've been grilling out burgers and hot dogs and that kind of stuff, and I have 3 burgers and 4 hot dogs, and I don't notice anything. I'm also on Zypan, Spanish black, and chlorophyll when I'm doing that, so that's probably influencing it. So to each their own is the answer. Some people after a bite, some people may never notice it, because the big picture thing is something you don't feel, then it's very likely you wouldn't notice it ever.
Just got a big thumbs up, America.
Right on. Thanks for asking that. That's a good question. That's a really good question. All right, other questions that are rolling in. All right, I'll give you folks a few minutes. You know the rules. I'll answer whatever you ask. If you don't have questions, we call it a night. Yeah, campfire was good. Grilling was good. I'm trying to think of other stuff. Oh, become less attractive to mosquitoes. Let's talk this, and if there aren't questions after this, we'll call it a night. Y'all have been beautiful. How do you spell mosquitoes?
Give it a try. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Mosquito.
S.
There's no E? Okay, cool. That's what I was. I was like, potatoes. Oh no. I'm turning into, was that Dan Quayle? How often do I get to have a Dan Quayle reference in a live stream? Wow, it's 1992 all over again. Anyways, mosquitoes. There is something about the nutrient vitamin B1. Having ample amounts of it makes you less attractive to mosquitoes. So, you want to take a lot of it. Here's the deal. Synthetic B1 doesn't do it. I'm going to go ahead and say synthetic B1 is useless, because it is. Synthetic B vitamins like synthetic B1 are usually made out of coal tar. That's a petroleum-based product. That's the stuff your automobile runs on. That's the stuff that asphalt is made out of. We don't want that, okay? My favorite source is going to be Cataplex B Core. It's made by Standard Process, of course, available in my online store, of course. I use it all the time because it's really good for energy, heart health. It's got an incredible ingredient list. Do yourself a favor when the live stream is over. Go to the Standard Process website, standardprocess.com. Look up Cataplex B Core and check out some super legitimate whole food supplement action on this product. It's amazing. So before you go outside to do anything, you want to take 2 or 3, depending upon how large of a human you are. I'm always taking 3, also because I very strongly dislike mosquitoes. If I could start apparently fruit bats eat mosquitoes. If I could start a fruit bat farm in my backyard, I absolutely would, just to get rid of mosquitoes. Okay, 2 to 3 before, and then do 2 to 3 during, depending upon how long you're out there. You become just less attractive to mosquitoes, and then you want to make sure when you're breathing that you use your nose. There is something about when the waste product that's coming out of our lungs isn't filtered on the way in and the way out by our nose and all the mechanisms within there, it draws mosquitoes to us more directly. So if you're a mouth breather, you got to work on that for a lot of reasons. And one of them is because it makes you more attractive to mosquitoes. So when you're out and about and there's mosquitoes out, use your nose to breathe, take a whole load of Cataplex V Core, and go enjoy yourself.
Nice.
Yeah.
So breathe in and out.
Yeah, in and out through your nose. Now, I experience this a lot because I play a lot of disc golf out in the woods, and I'll go into the rough. I mean, I never throw off the fairway. I'm perfect. I never miss a shot ever. I think that's going to be my stupid face for the live stream. Anyways, we always look for a stupid face to post as a little GIF, whatever they call it. I think we nailed it this time. Anyways, we always look for it after the fact. This time we handled it in stream. I like it. So even though I throw perfectly in disc golf all the time, if I am off the fairway for some reason, like I'm helping a buddy look for his disc, when I'm going through weeds and short plants and shrubbery and stuff, I'm really focused on slow, controlled in through the nose, out through the nose. And I've noticed since I've done that for a couple of years now, that on the same courses and the same kind of weather conditions compared to my past, I have way less mosquitoes coming after me. So it works. That's just one of the things you can read more about in the book Breathe by James Nestor. It's a really, really good book. It's a really good book. All right, we did campfires, we did grilling, we did mosquitoes. We're obviously in summertime. Y'all have been great. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for asking the questions, for the views that we're going to get in the future from now. Thank you for tuning into all this. Remember, if you ever have questions, you can call us. You can message us on Instagram. You can go to our website. You can shoot us an email. You can do all those things. We always want you feeling supported. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Fantastic.